there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things. I upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon Central Time with some extras sprinkled in here and there for spooky month, and I'll be doing the same in December for the end of the year. And today I have a book that I bought based on the cover. I didn't even read the back. I'm like, ooh, this looks interesting. It's an author I haven't read. It's a beautiful cover. The bookstore, Barnes & Noble, where I bought it, had a special that if you bought multiple paperbacks, you got another one half off. So I was looking for another book, and that is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. Let's get into it. This book surprised and delighted me, utterly. It's 368 pages in paperback. It came out this year on July 29th, 2025. It has a 4.24 on Goodreads. I am giving this one a solid 5 stars. It's the first in a series. The series is Cemetery Boys. This is Cemetery Boys, so this is the first book. And let's jump in with the book blurb. Yadriel has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself as a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no other choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. This book is a Bram Stoker Award nominee for Best Young Adult Novel from 2020. This book came out September 1st, 2020. It is a Locus Award nominee for Best First Novel. It is a Rhode Island Teen Book Award nominee. It's got one in German for the translation. My German isn't good enough for me to read that. It's got a Lincoln Award nominee. It's got Goodreads Choice Award nominee for Young Adult and Fantasy and Science Fiction, and for Young Adult Fantasy, and for Debut Novel. And it's got a Lodestar Award nominee. It's got an Otherwise Award nominee. And this book made me laugh, it made me cry, it gave me all the feels, because Yadriel is a gay trans Latinx boy. So he's already starting behind the goalpost. Like, he's already got, and this book deals with a lot of the Latinx culture, something that I'm very familiar with. I grew up down on the Mexican border in Deep South Texas, and he wants to prove himself. He wants to prove his manhood. That on his 15th birthday, is when they're supposed to get the girls get a necklace, usually a rosary, to do healing magic, because that's what the goddess of death has blessed the women with, and the men to release spirits with a ceremonial dagger. And he was denied a 15 period, not to become a healer, not to become someone who works with the spirits, but just no. And his cousin Maritza, for her 15, she's vegan, and so she won't do magic because it requires animal blood, and she won't do that because that's just not who she is. And so we've got one person who's being denied and another person who has chosen to say no, and they bind themselves together, and she forges him his own dagger because her family makes the daggers. It's told in modern day LA, and she forges him the dagger herself in secret. But she forges him the dagger, and they do the ritual, just the two of them in the church alone, right before Dia de los Muertos, so that his mother, who has passed on, can see what he's become, because she was very supportive of his gender identity and gender exploration. And the goddess of death blesses him with imbuing the dagger with magic, and immediately after the ceremony finishes, he gets this pain in his chest, and he knows that someone in his family has died. and he rushes home to find out what's going on, what's happening, because usually when someone in their community, because they have the power to heal, passes, it's peaceful. Like, it's a release. It's not pain and suffering. And he finds out that it's his cousin Miguel, and the men, it's very, one of the criticisms of this book is that it's sexist, and part of that is cultural, and part of that is just the storytelling. Like, it's largely cultural. So the men go off to try and find Miguel's body so they can release his spirit so he can come back for Dia de los Muertos this year and all the further years. And the women stay home and continue getting ready for Dia de los Muertos, because someone's got to be there in case the phone rings, essentially. Someone's got to be there in case the police show up and say, hey, we found your son, we found your nephew, we found him. While the menfolk go off and look for his body, the women stay home. And Yadriel is dead-named and told to stay home. And it's just brutal, because he feels like his family doesn't accept him. The only people in his family that accept him are his uncle and his cousin Maritza. His uncle doesn't have any magic, because each generation has less and less magic. So it's this big thing, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out and I'm going to find him. And so he and Maritza go out and they find a tie, not a necktie, but like, I can't remember the word he uses because it's in Spanish, but they find a physical item belonging to someone who's recently died that their spirit is tied to, and it's a St. Jude's medal, and he conjures the spirit attached to it because maybe it's his cousin's. And if it's not his cousin's, he can release this spirit into the other world and prove himself anyway. And so he conjures the spirit, and it's Julian, and he tries to release him because he's like, oops, wrong spirit. Tries to release him, and it doesn't work. He can't release the spirit. And Julian's like, hey, I've got unfinished business. I'm a ghost. I don't know who jumped me. I don't know what happened. I don't know anything about what's going on. Help me. I've got to find my friends. He's like, not your family? He's like, no, my friends. This book is very heavy on found family, that if your family isn't supportive of who you are and what you are and who you want to become, to go find someone who is. Which I think is a very important message, that blood doesn't necessarily make a family. And that's a very hard lesson to learn. But it is a lesson that a lot of people have to learn, is that blood doesn't make family. And they go on this journey to try and find his friends and to try and find out what happened to him. In the meantime, spirits can go bad and they turn into demons. And it looks like that's happening to Julian at an accelerated rate. And so they do his last day, which happens to be on the eve of Dia de los Muertos. And the twist, I knew the twist was coming because it had gotten spoiled for me, which is why I try not to do spoilers anymore. The twist, even though I saw it coming, I did not see it coming. Not to the extent that it happened. And the resolution of the twist. And, like, the ending was so cute. I cried at the ending because, this book was brilliant. It's brilliantly written. It captures the culture, and I think a lot of people that aren't familiar with the Latinx culture, he's Cuban and Julian is Colombian, and it's all these Latin American cultures kind of moving together, showing the things in their culture that are similar and showing the things in these individual cultures that are different, that Aiden Thomas doesn't portray them as a monolith, which I greatly appreciate, because it would be so easy to just be like, oh yeah, they're Latinx, they do this, that, and the other thing, all of them, and he doesn't. That there's subtle differences in the families, and there's subtle differences between Yadriel's family and Julian's family. Like, there's these subtle differences. I really appreciated that, and I think the people who didn't like it either weren't gonna like it, or didn't get it, like, didn't give it a chance, and just got hung up on the base level of things, because it does confront that the magic is inherently sexist. That is mentioned in the first book, and I feel like we're going to explore it in the subsequent books. That I was born a girl, so I have to be a healer. I can't be a brujo. I have to be a bruja. I can't be a brujo. And it's like, yeah, like that's expanded on in the book. I feel like we're going to get expanded on in the subsequent books. I can't wait for book 2. I very much want to read it now. Have you read Cemetery Boys? What did you think of it? I thought this book was absolutely brilliant. It's YA, but it's written so well, it holds an adult audience very well. Because I'm very much an adult. I'm going to be 37 this year. I'm looking forward to that. 37 is a good number. And yeah, let me know what you thought of this one. Were you one of the people that didn't like it or didn't get it? I would love to hear more about what you thought of this book. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.